Hi, I'm Alan from Pizza Parliament. I am the Prime Minister of Pizza Parliament, and it's my mission today to teach you the basic recipe for pizza dough. So that's what we're going to do. We've got the large bowl, as Ben, the Minister for Cheese, described earlier, and the scales are underneath. The recipe takes 1 kilo of strong white dough, so we've got Alison for today, and we need to put in a kilo of this dough, which is of this flour. It's actually quite a lot of flour. 920, 930, 960, and there we go. So we've got a kilo of flour. We need 20 grams of salt, which we'll add in. And then one of the key things that you need to do is to mix the salt in. The reason for this is salt actually kills yeast. So if you don't mix the salt in and you put the yeast right on top of it, you'll kill your yeast and your dough will never rise. So one of the most important things you need to do is mix that in. Then we're going to add in the yeast, which we've got fast action dry yeast, which you throw in on top. And then we're also going to mix in that so that it's evenly spread throughout the flour, because you want it to raise all throughout to give us good air pockets and good length on our protein chains, which will make a nice pizza base. So we've got that in. The next ingredient, which is before the water, is you actually need 200 grams of olive oil. So the 200 grams of olive oil will give it that real Italian flavour. So we'll get that in now. Then we need the water. And actually here you need tepid water. And tepid water is what's going to be used. But to make tepid water, basically you need a mix of boiling and cold. But the key is put the cold water in first, because if you put boiling water in there, it'll be too hot and it'll kill the yeast. And actually, as you can see, quite a lot of things kill the yeast, so you've got to be quite careful with this stuff to make it work. So what we're now going to add in, we need a total of 500 ml of fluid. So we're going to add in 333 of cold water. Just like that. And then we're going to add in 165 of boiling water, which Ben has brought over for me, which we will use the measuring jug to measure out. So we'll stick in the warm water. And that mix of hot and cold water actually gives us the tepid mix. So that we're going to start to move the flour into the fluid mix. So we're actually going to start to mix that dough together, and what you'll see is it starts to come together in the middle, and as we mix it'll start to take in the flour. And as we move through this process, what we're going to have to do is move from using the fork to getting involved with the dough, because what we need to do is getting it turning over so that we can actually get it to take in the remaining flour in the bowl so that we can bring it together into dough. So what you're doing is you're kneading it into the flour to make it accept the rest of the flour. And the kneading actually turns it from separate ingredients and brings it together into the dough. And what we're looking to do is the flour changes consistency and starts to form together into chains of proteins, which actually that is what makes the pizza stretchy, so that when you have the dough you're actually able to stretch it out and have a thin and crispy base. And actually what you'll find is this process is actually quite a good workout. So you'll burn off some of the calories that you put on when eating it, which I'm sure the Minister for Health will approve of. So we've got most of the flour into the dough now. So what we're going to do is turn it out onto the work surface, and we're going to start to knead the dough to bring it finely together. And what you'll see is it'll go from a crumbly mess to more of a smooth consistency. And this is going to take some time. So actually, when you're kneading dough, what you need to do is you'll need to do this for roughly 10 minutes to get it to the point you want to. But as we'll go, I'll show you how to know when your dough is done. So you can see that the dough is starting to come together, and it's bringing together all the loose pieces. And as we knead it, and I get slightly out of breath working hard in the kitchen, the dough will start to come together. So I've been kneading the dough for around about 5-6 minutes now, and the test is take the chunk of dough, turn it into a ball, and will it stretch out into a pizza base? And you can actually see it goes sort of see-through before it rips, and you can see we can get a pizza base out of that. So that shows you that your dough is ready. What you then do is take the dough, turn it over, and you bring together the edges. You then put it into the bowl that you've got, that you want it to grow in. We're going to use a bit more olive oil, because you must have more fat in your pizza. And we're going to cover it with some olive oil. We're going to put some cling film over the top, and then we'll put that into a warm place to rise. And it'll need about 90 minutes to come up to the level that you want it to be able to have a good pizza base.